are getting a little bit more comfortable in the roles, nobody more so than Nate Reuvers.
And even with Ethan Happ gone, you look at this starting lineup and you see guys like Demetric Trice being introduced.
Wisconsin in all kinds of shooting categories as well. Nate Reuvers, double figures the last 4 games. Green Bay, a very veteran lineup. They start Wisconsin. Green Bay, really, and you go back to last year, they had met every year since 1999. And as I had mentioned, Wisconsin is a perfect 20-0 in Madison in this series. Tip to the Badgers wearing their home whites, in Green Bay and their traveling black jerseys. King sliding the pass down to Reuvers, who gets the contact and one.
And it's a great balance, great shoulder strength there to go through the body. I love how aggressive Nate Reuvers was there. You're going to look at it. He gets it right there. Shoulder through the body, straight up, go get one and one. Now we'll see if Nate Reuvers can make it an and one.
Considerable height advantage here to start. Reuvers at 6'11". You go 6'5" and 6'8" and 6'7", really kind of in the front court.
Yeah, Lisa, and we talked with Coach Darner at UW Green Bay, and one of his concerns was, can they guard the paint? And so far, his first look at it, not so much. We'll see if they continue to change things up, switch defenses a little bit, make it a little difficult on this Wisconsin team.
Green Bay coming into tonight with a 1-2 overall record. The one win they picked up back on November 9th. They put up 115 points against UW Stout in that game. Just coming off a loss against New Mexico, lost that one 93-78. But they've played a couple of Big Ten teams. There's the first bucket for 4.
Well, and the bucket was set up because of the ball movement. It started off of a ball screen. It went around the perimeter. Boom. Great bucket by Ford.
2 possessions and 4 paint points here for Wisconsin as they force the turnover. Here's King on the push. Hankerson got a tip from behind. The quick hands there from Cam Hankerson, one of the seniors here on this team.
And you look at the ball screen action that Wisconsin's running there. He takes it down, Reuvers catches it, swings it across the paint to a wide open Ford. That is fantastic ball movement. That's got to make Coach Greg Gard extremely happy early on in this game.
Of course, one of the big storylines, this Wisconsin team without Ethan Happ here this year. And the 3, they size it up for Brad Davison. What a start for Wisconsin. 8-0 for the Badgers.
That's going to make Coach Gard happy, because with balance like that, who are you going to stop? You don't know, Lisa. That's what makes his team so good.
Greg Gard telling us exactly that here in shoot-around. The fact that they've got about 62% of their scoring returning from last year. Of course, led by Trice and Davison and Reuvers here to start. And an 8-0 advantage here for Wisconsin. Green Bay's got to figure out something awfully quickly. And Patterson, they go to him right out of the timeout.
Well, and Patterson, what is he? He's a traditional 5 post. He's going to get in the post, face up, turn around, jump shot. But he's a traditional post. Really good answer there by Green Bay.
He's their biggest player on the court right now, standing at 6'8". Patterson, one of the juniors out of Chicago, Illinois. Played his high school ball at Kenwood Academy. First miss there for Wisconsin, but they get it right back for a second opportunity.
Gotta love the 50-50 ball hustle.
Pops out for Davison. He got a good look at it, though.
Really, really good look. And if you're Wisconsin, it's always those rebounds that create offense rebounds and kick out threes. Those are very, very tough to defend.
Brad Davison shooting about 55% coming into tonight from all over. Mentioned that first in scoring, second in assists, first in steals, leading Wisconsin in all kinds of shooting categories.
Lisa, there's a shocker. Brad Davison on the floor. Just a hustle, just a grit. You gotta love the way he plays the game. And you know, it's one of those things that people thought maybe the new flopping rule would affect what Brad Davison does. No, just the way he plays. It's not a flop. He's just aggressive and attacks.
Really good football player, as we know his story coming out of high school as Hankerson pulls. Good attempt there for Green Bay, but they come up empty-handed. Hankerson, one of the players connected with Trevor Anderson, of course the transfer now playing on the Wisconsin side, played for Green Bay for a year, and King fills it up.
I'm telling you right now, if Kobe King is that aggressive throughout the Big Ten season, he's a name that you better recognize, because he's going to continue to do that.
Kobe King only missed the one game with an ankle injury against McNeese earlier this year, but he started all 4 games, including tonight, that he's played in. Here's Trice. Back out to Davison. Reavers got really good position on that, but the double team now coming as McLeod came over, drawing some contact.
Listen, it's a great teaching point there, because when you go and you double the post, you saw a lot of hands. You don't want to go and double the post with hands. You got to double it with bodies. If you get two bodies that come in collapse, there's not going to be a foul. But because Green Bay went down there and dug with their hands, that was an easy foul call.
So the first personal there on McLeod for Green Bay, and they leave Reavers open for three. He hits.
The big fella says, don't let me out there too far. I'm going to knock it down every time.
His fifth three-point make here this year, and it's a 13-2 advantage.
It was the mental approach. Now this is my turn. I'm not going to get pulled if I do something wrong. I have a little bit longer of a leash, and I think that's why you've seen the numbers go up more than anything.
You know, I was listening to our Fox family partner, Bill Raftery, who was calling the Marquette, Wisconsin game. You know what he said? He said the pattern of the bigs and the tradition of the bigs started with Brian Butch.
Well, I don't know about that. That might be a long shot, but I made a couple of baskets. I don't know if I defended as much as Coach Ryan would have liked, but I made a couple of baskets every once in a while.
Got yourself on the Sports Illustrated cover, too, if I remember
right.
right.
That was, I think, by accident as well. So I'm still paying that one off. I had to take out a loan to get on that one.
Oh, Trice with the short three-point attempt at Green Bay, now on the push. McLeod out to McNair, and that's exactly what the Phoenix want to do. They want to push, push, push.
Phoenix want to do that, and that's the opposite of what Coach Gard wants. That one will make the clips tomorrow in the film room, because we talked to Coach Gard at shoot-around. He says, we have to start with our transition defense. That was not great transition defense there.
Well, it's always an emphasis, as he has said, for Wisconsin basketball, but even more so here tonight. It's the second career three-point make there for Trevor Wall.
Yeah, and what Tyler Wall does as a young freshman, he's like a Swiss Army knife. He can do a little bit of everything, and that's why he fits with this Badger program so well.
Tyler Wall is just the only incoming true freshman here on this Wisconsin roster.
And you look at what Wisconsin brought in this recruiting class, an absolute phenomenal recruiting class for this Badgers team as well.
Had his first three-point make in that game against Marquette.
And there's a turnover.
Wisconsin and Green Bay. Two schools separated by 140 miles, and the Badgers with a really good start.
Smooth it out. So that's exactly what Coach Gard is seeing right here. So I'm gonna say it right now. Clip that so that we can get that to Coach Gard, because I got to give credit where credit is due. I'm still learning from Coach Gard.
You totally are. And to your point, 5 assists on 6 made buckets here for Wisconsin to start. Everybody loves butter on their toast.
Right.
How could you not love that analogy?
I agree. And you got to spread it. You got to spread. Last year, with as good as Ethan Happ was, the ball was the focal point, right? Get Ethan the ball and then play out of it. With this team, you can spread it throughout this. Every person out there, you can get involved with this offense, and that's why it's been so difficult to defend tonight, as they're up 16-4.
It's Wall and Pritzel as your reserves, who are now in this time with the starters, the 3 starters here for Wisconsin. And taking it baseline, that's where he can be so dangerous. Kobe King going off the bounce.
Coming off the injuries, you're finally starting to see Kobe King become the attacker. And if he becomes the attacker night in and night out, the sky is the limit for this young fella.
Second personal here on McLeod, too. Jaquan McLeod, that's going to be big. They need him to score. A preseason all-second team honoree for the Horizon League. Green Bay, I mentioned, they played a couple of Big Ten teams in the first 4 games. Opened up the season against Purdue. They dropped that one in West Lafayette. Pritzel on that one, popping out. Brevin Pritzel, I asked him, you going to get another double-double here tonight? And he said, heck no, that was way too much work on Sunday.
Well, he did do work nice and early. There's no question about it. He had 6 offensive rebounds as part of those 13 rebounds. I mean, he was all over the place on Sunday.
Trevion Bell will give it up. trying to body up Trice there with the turnaround. Nowhere to go. There was 1 second on the shot clock. Cody Schwartz, a tough look on that possession.
And I really love Trice just bodying up and being, sound and strong in the post. Most guards aren't that disciplined. He showed great discipline there.
Ford this time getting double teamed as Wall had nowhere to go, and he walked with it. Not many turnovers here for Wisconsin. And a couple here already to start. Darner, as we had mentioned, the head coach here for Green Bay. He's in year number 5 as the head coach. He was an Anderson, Indiana native, a teammate actually of Matt Painter. It was a little bit of an interesting storyline when Green Bay took on Purdue to open up the season.
For sure. And, the Big Ten roots, it's amazing how many people have Big Ten roots and have become great college coaches.
3 attempt. 0 for 3 now to start here for Green Bay. The big block for Reavers as he came over and denied Amari Davis. Davis, because of some family obligations, has actually been away from the team. Hadn't practiced with Green Bay for the last 6 days. That's kind of been the Phoenix storyline here. They haven't been a full, complete team. You got to go back to June when they practice as a full roster.
They've had 5 days, after talking with Coach Darner, they've had 5 days since June 9th that they have had the whole team together. Various injuries and whatever else it might have been. And when you sit back and think about that is absolutely amazing.
Trevor Anderson now has checked in here for Wisconsin, initiating the offense there, and they find him at the top of the key. He'll take it in the lane and draw the foul. Anderson, as I had mentioned, played the 1 year at Green Bay, started about 20 games as a freshman, averaged almost 10 points per game.
And I've had a chance to talk with Coach Kravinoff a little bit. And I think one of the things that Anderson does such a great job of, it's just the basketball IQ. When you put him into the game, he doesn't make mistakes. He makes the right play. And there's a calming effect that he brings when he comes in. Everyone knows where they're supposed to be.
Davison, an attempt there at a 4-point play as he gets fouled on the 3-point attempt by Hunter Chris. That'll be his first.
So instead of the jinx, I'm going to say 14 of 15 from the line so far this year from Brad Davison. So that means he's going to give us all 3. He's already missed 1, so we're good. We got that jinx out of the way.
I don't believe in that jinx, just so you know. This is our first time working together, but you're not that powerful, Brian Bush. See, I told you.
That's right. That's for sure. No one ever said I was powerful.
Tomorrow on BTN, more Big Ten basketball coming your way. Anthony Cowan leads 6th-ranked Maryland into action against George Mason. And it all tips off tomorrow at 7 Eastern on BTN and, of course, the Fox Sports app. Maryland, Michigan State, Ohio State, the 3 teams that are ranked in the top 25 right now. Wisconsin, though, one of the teams getting votes coming out here this week. Wisconsin, Michigan, and Purdue all receiving votes.
Yeah, and again, when you think about what the Big Ten season is going to look like, it's going to be a battle once again. And tell me what year it hasn't been, right? That's just what Big Ten basketball is. That's why it's so great.
Had a record number of teams in the NCAA tournament last year. And Big Ten looking to build on that again. A big 3-pointer for Cam Hinkerson.
And that's one where there was a little bit of a lack of communication. And because of the lack of communication, Aleem should have gone over that screen and got a hand up. He doesn't. It leads to a 3.
Last free throws there for Davison, and the last possession for Wisconsin, by the way, snapped about a 3-minute scoring drought. Here's Davison again looking to go off the bounce. He's got Christ on him. He'll step back and pull and fire. There's a whistle before the shot. And a walking violation there for Davison as we will take a timeout. December 21st. This is what he tweeted out after that decision. My eligibility waiver was denied again today, and sadly now we have closure. If we go down to the very end, he says, I have no regrets, and I'm proud to be a Badger and can't wait to compete in about a month from today.
What I think is the most impressive thing out of all this is the way that Micah Potter has handled this whole situation. From start to finish, he's been positive. He's gone about it the right way. And for me, what is college about? College is about learning experience. He learned a valuable life lesson there that will carry over throughout the rest of his life. That's what college is all about.
And it really was a developing story here today. I mean, we were sitting at shoot-around, and Greg Gard was actually pulled away from shoot-around, went into the back to learn about the final decision. He had to come back out on the court, and he called Micah back to tell him. And he said that Micah was actually trying to prepare himself maybe for the disappointment and be, surprised if the decision had gone the other way.
Yeah, and you got to give credit to Micah Potter. Just the way he's handled it from start to finish, just an absolute fantastic young man.
Green Bay started 2 of 9 shooting, and since they're a perfect 4 for 4, and just like that on a 7-0 run here, 19-13 is the advantage. Ford can't get it to fall.
And the reason you're seeing this advantage is Wisconsin has gotten away from what? The paint leads it. They have not really attacked. They've made a lot of outside shots there and taken a lot of outside shots, and that's why you've seen this lead kind of dwindle a little bit.
And they're out to an 8-0 advantage, and then Link Darner had to call the timeout. The lead had been as large as 13 so far here in this first half. Tries swinging it around to Davison as Ford looks inside. 9 on the shot clock now for Davison. See what he can do. He pulls and fires from distance and connects.
That's one of those clips that you watch the next day, and you're still going to see it even though the ball goes in, because it wasn't great offense for this Badger team. It's stuck on the top. Brad Davison just made a better play.
2 of 3 from back there. 2 of the 4 3-point makes here for Wisconsin. That had snapped up almost a 6-minute field goal drought for the Badgers.
And this is what we're seeing from UW Green Bay here. They're picking up a little thing Coach Darner likes to call RP40, relentless pressure for 40 minutes.
Swing it over to Trice, who's been quiet offensively until there, and he connects in the corner for his first point.
And you talk about Trice being a little quiet, right? He's averaging 8 points this year. Last year he averaged 11.6. And the question is, why has he been quiet? Last year there was a lot of ball screen action within this Wisconsin offense, and I think that's been the difference. You see the ball moving a little bit, and Dmitrik has to try to find a little bit where to get, find that offense again.
Schwartz gets the and one. And something's gotten into this Green Bay team.
Well, I'll tell you what's gotten to it more than anything. It's been the way that they've cut and moved. The first couple of minutes, they were very, very stagnant. They were jacking up a lot of threes. We talked to the coach about this. He goes, hey, we can't go out to out to out. And when I mean out to out to out, the ball just moves around the perimeter and then they shoot a three. We saw that early on. He says, we've got to go in and then build it out. Against New Mexico, they were 5 of 7 from threes where they were able to go in and out. They were 5 of 26 when the ball just stuck around the perimeter the whole time.
Green Bay is still on a hot streak here. They've made 6 of their last 7 attempts, by the way. That was Reavers' first personal down on the defensive end. Davison going baseline. Reavers, step back 3. Here's King again with the offensive board. Cross-court pass to Trice. And the shot clock, remember, will reset to 20 seconds. Down low to Reavers, who tosses it away.
And you're seeing every time the ball goes in the post, Green Bay is bringing the double, or they're heavy digging down in the post. I think it was a really good game plan there by Coach Darner. You're going to see there's a dig. It's not even a true double, but it's a hard dig. So they're mixing it up between a hard dig and a double, and you can see there it confused Nate Reavers.
5th turnover now for Wisconsin. To Green Bay's 3, by the way. There's Davis, who connects. He's got 6 points here for the freshman. One of the things they were concerned about is just the tempo of playing Division I basketball. One of the better players coming out of the state of Ohio, and he's adjusted nicely.
You got to love the response by Green Bay. You absolutely have to love it.
Davis second on the team in scoring as Davison took it to Green Bay that time.
That's a big boy move. That's a big boy move. I'm going to go get a basket. Our team needs one. I'm going to get a basket, Brad Davison says.
It's the freshman up against Davison, so now back-to-back buckets for Amari Davis.
After missing all week, you would not know that Davis missed the whole week of practice with the way he's playing right now.
And Wisconsin, second on the team in scoring, coming off a career-high 8 rebounds in that last game. It's short for Davison, who's looking for a shot the last couple of possessions.
That's the hustle you're going to see from Tyler Wall. He's all over the place. If you're a Badger fan, you better get used to seeing it, because that is the way the kid plays, and he fits what Wisconsin basketball is all about.
3 offensive boards will lead to that in the Pritzel 3.
Pritzel says, I can do it more than just against Marquette. I'm going to do it the whole year.
%50 shooting from back there. Wisconsin's already knocked down 6 of them. Davis getting a little hungry there. Air ball. 7 different scorers here for the Badgers. Davison, one of them, taking it into traffic once again. Empty-handed, though, that time.
We'll see how transition defense is. Very good closeout there by the young fella, Tyler Wall. And it was great transition defense. He started in the paint. He closed out. And the closeout, a lot of times when you see people closing out, players closing out, their hand is down. Tyler Wall's hand was up there to make that a very, very tough 3.
Working it around to King from up top. He hits.
And if that isn't a response by the Wisconsin Badgers, I don't know what is. Green Bay came back, they answered. Now Wisconsin's answering back. This is a great college basketball game.
7 3-point makes, 6 different players hitting at least 1 3 here so far for Wisconsin. A 12-point advantage. Remember, the largest lead had been 13 so far in this half. Double team coming. How about King again? You bet. Back to back for Kobe King.
I can do it once. I can do it twice, Kobe King says. 9
to improving and getting that second win on the season. They've lost 3 straight in a tough 3-game road skid here. Oklahoma, at Butler, and at Utah here to start the season before a 4-game homestand starting tonight. And an offensive foul call there on Green Bay.
And why is that an offensive foul? When anytime you extend your hands, and you see that a lot in post players, they want to play with their hands so much, and I don't get it. You got to play with your hip. It's in the post, it's about angles. There is no hip there, it's all hands. That's going to be an offensive foul every time. You got to play with your hips in the post.
Cloud back in here for Green Bay. By the way, he sat out for about 8 minutes, picking up a couple of fouls. One of their best scorers here on the team. Ford with the turnaround, nicely done.
Great patience. He didn't force anything. He let the move and the defender determine the move, and then just went up, straight down, and finished with a beautiful jump hook. I love the patience, and I love the growth by Aleem Ford.
And you talk about growth, Aleem Ford coming into this year, 75% of his attempts were from 3.
Yep. And you can tell just physically he's gotten stronger. He's gotten a little bit more better of a pop in his legs.
He couldn't resist that one.
Well, when you're wide open, you got to let it fly.
Largest lead of the game here at 17 for Wisconsin. There's McLeod. And he hits the 3.
And he's going to have to get going. One of those things that, talking with Coach Darner, he's got to be a scorer for him. He's got to be able to go and attack and be a scorer for this Green Bay team.
A much needed bucket here for the Phoenix. Snapped an 11-0 run here for Wisconsin. Wall, he had hit one earlier from that spot. 38-24 advantage here for Wisconsin. The final few minutes here of the first half. Birth back in 1991, and guess what? Lucas Stieber, there still is a Bennett connection there. Tony Bennett's nephew. His mom is the sister of Tony. And he says, I don't remember. I wasn't old enough, obviously, for the Green Bay years. I still wasn't old enough to remember the Wisconsin years. But I do remember when my grandpa was the coach at Washington State. I remember watching some games back then.
Well, I remember how good those Green Bay teams were. I watched them as a kid growing up in Appleton, Wisconsin. And, oh, my goodness. They were so good, so good.
The Stieber family now living in Green Bay. Mom, as I had mentioned, who's the sister of Tony, is a teacher up there. And Lucas has said, now Grandpa texted him and said, now there may be some people who might talk to you about the Bennett connection. Make sure that you're nice and polite to all of them, because he's trying to redshirt right now. But if he starts playing in a couple years, he doesn't want any bulletin board material the next time these two teams play and his grandson's on the court.
If that isn't coach talk, I don't know what is.
Reverse. He can do that all day long if he wants to. He's got 10.
We've seen the last 3 possessions this Wisconsin team really look to get the ball in the post, and it had to be been talked about in the timeout there. We've got to look to get the ball in the post because they only had 12. They only had 12 paint touches. And for me, I think that's the thing when you look at it. It's an emphasis. There's no question about it.
Reavers has picked up his second, by the way. He can have all the offense that he wants if he can stay on the court, is the PS. So he'll sit out with about 3 minutes left to play here in this first half. 18-point advantage. This is the largest here for the Badgers coming out of that media timeout. The Cloud had a good look at it, couldn't convert.
When you look at the three-point percentages, Green Bay's at 25, Wisconsin's at 50. And that's really the reason for such a big lead here by the Wisconsin Badgers. That's going to go the other way. Yep. And again, we talked about the post. And when you're posting, again, you want to post with your hips. Malik Ford's going to post with his arms, and it's an easy offensive foul every time. You've got to post with your lower body. And I think so many times it gets lost. But there, right there, you see it with the hand. There is no body-to-body with the hip, and because of it, it's an easy offensive foul.
You've got Ford at 6'8", and Hankerson at about 6'5", so given about 3 inches in that matchup. McNair, the quick dump-down pass there to Davis for the easy 2.
And that's an example of just losing vision. Brad Davison lost vision on the cut. It leads to a really easy bucket there for Green Bay.
And Omari Davis, even being away from the team because of family obligations, he's got 10 points, the first to double figures on the Green Bay side. Davis, one of the few freshmen on this roster, a junior class, really the first full true recruiting class here for Link Darner. They have a couple of junior college transfers. Oh, Davison, a 4-point play, but he's hurt. Went down on his ankle as he made good on the 3-point shot.
That right there is what they're trying to get rid of. You see it in the NBA, you see it in college basketball, you see it throughout basketball. It's one of the most dangerous plays that you can have as a basketball player. Anytime you leave your feet, then someone comes underneath it just like that. It's not a dirty play, but it's one of those that you're trying to get rid of the game because it's so dangerous.
Yeah, well, Omari Davis picked up his second. He certainly was just trying to contest that shot. As you said, wasn't trying to be malicious with the contest.
Exactly, yeah. There was no purpose there, but still, it's one that you've got to get rid of in the game.
I thought they might walk Davidson right into the locker room, and we've only got about 140 left, but he's at the end of the bench right now with the athletic training staff.
We see a little bit of pressure there by Wisconsin. Why would Wisconsin pressure? Very simple, just to change up the looks a little bit, make Green Bay uncomfortable with 1:30 left. I love the call there by Coach Gard, just to change it up and make them uncomfortable and make sure this lead stays at 20 with 1.5 minutes.
It'll stay Wisconsin basketball.
It's a little bit of a checkers and chess game you're always playing between the coaches. You're trying to make that other team uncomfortable. As soon as you think they're comfortable, you want to change it up with Tad, and it's a great battle.
Anderson being hawked by P.J. Pipes. They working around to Trice. Anderson will give it up and finds King in the corner.
Great ball movement there by the Wisconsin. Just missed the shot.
McNair taking it inside the lane. And we got a jump ball. That was nicely played by Brevin Pritzel.
And that's one of those when you're in this situation, and as we see Brad Davison walk off, go to the locker room here with 53 seconds left in the first half. it's amazing when you play, though. If you go in to get a jump ball, you better go get it, because if there's a foul call, you're going to see it in the film room tomorrow. Wisconsin loves to teach chest on the defensive end.
McLeod with a nice and one here for Green Bay just before the half. Remember, Brad Davison, the leading scorer here this year, second in assists, first in steals. I mentioned that he paces Wisconsin in all different kinds of shooting categories. Yeah, and just the leading aspect of it. It's the leadership, but we shoot 38.5% from three, 55% from the floor. But you touched on it, Lisa. It's the leadership. And I think there's many leaders on this team now, but I think he's the focal point, right? He's the guy that's gets the ship going. It'll be interesting to see how Greg Gard uses Davison if he is healthy to play here in the second half, and they still have a considerable advantage in a non-conference game. You got to be careful with one of your star players and how you use them in the second half. Well, yeah, especially when you look at the schedule that's coming up as well. They play Richmond, and then they could either play Auburn or New Mexico, and then you go into the ACC Big Ten Challenge, and then you go into the schedule doesn't get easier from here on out. It gets extremely challenging for this Badger program. The one thing with D'Mitrik Trice more than anything, you really saw in the Marquette game, defensively he was very, very aggressive. And his defense led to some offense. And I think right now, D'Mitrik is trying to find his flow on the offensive end a little bit. Again, like I talked about, I thought last year he was involved in a lot of ball screens. Now, we're not seeing that many ball screens from this Wisconsin team. What you're seeing is ball movement. And I think if you ask any coach out there, listen, I would rather have ball movement than ball screens anytime, because as soon as that ball starts popping, great things happen. Tyler Wall will check back in here for Wisconsin. You mentioned Trice, and he's got double-figure scoring in the two best teams that they've played here so far this year, a ranked St. Mary's team to open up the year, and then just most recently last Sunday against Marquette. The one thing I'll say about D'Mitrik Trice, he is a gamer. Big-time shot, if you need it, give the kid the ball, because he has done it time and time again for this Wisconsin program. Trice initiating things in the final few seconds of this half, a half where Wisconsin has put up 48, looking to add to it. Trice thinking about it, he'll pass it up. Pretzel will fire off the glass. They count it. They will review it, but as of now, you can give the three to Brevin Pretzel. The bank is always open. His shoes, injured his left ankle as he came down on the foot of Amari Davis. He was wearing red shoes in the first half. He obviously went to bigger shoes and got taped up there on his left ankle, and he's now going with the whites in the second. He just wanted to put the white shoes on so he looked faster. That's all. That's a little trick you got to learn. Trice for three, and that's been the kind of night for the Badgers. 8 points now for D'Mitrik Trice. 11th three-point make here for the team tonight. Davison comes down with the rebound. Just kind of new, right? When I was asking you about how you play him minutes-wise, if you have a comfortable lead. But you were very adamant that you might see him to start here in the second half. Yeah, it's one of those things where that's what Brad Davison is all about. He's tough as nails. You can't take a guy like that out of the game. He just won't let you. I think more than anything, you try to watch out for his well-being. He said, no. You can tell, though, he's a little bit off on that. So 2 possessions, 2 3-point attempts here for Wisconsin. And even though he wants to play, I still believe Greg Gard's got to be a little bit careful and talking about early in the season with his leader and his one of his lead guards here and how he uses them in the second half. Especially with the schedule coming up for this Badger team. They look at again, they're going to play Richmond, possibly Auburn, then it's the ACC Big Ten Challenge, and it's the Big Ten opener. You've got to be careful because you need them healthy for that schedule. King with a nice cut there, they can't get the finish. And here's Green Bay on the push. Wisconsin has done a good job in terms of getting numbers back defensively. Green Bay hasn't had many easy buckets in the first half. There's the kick out to P.J. Pipes for 3. And I think if you're Coach Johnner, more than anything, this is a tough game now to coach because you want to hold these guys accountable, but you also realize you're down by 20, so you can't yell too much. It's that balance of trying to get these guys to get going. A couple of plays like that will get them going. P.J. Pipes, he started the last couple of games in the place of Shanquan Hemphill, who's actually been hurt, a lower body injury, only played 10 minutes against Purdue in the opener, and that's been the only basketball that he has played for Green Bay. It's a big loss for them. Last year, he started in all the games and was the third leading scorer. Green Bay's story is that they've been shorthanded here this year. PJ Pipes has stepped up, 17 points in the last couple of games. How about that? Reavers with the cleanup job. It's every part of the rim for two.
That had the potential to be very, very impressive. Instead, it was just a stat stuffer.
22-point advantage. How about the crossover from the cloud? Can't get it. On the push, here comes Trice. There's a flash from Reavers.
Instead, that's an impressive move. Nice little drop-off pass there, and the flush by Reavers. Gotta love it.
14 points for the Wisconsin big man going off the glasses, McNair. Pritzl, by the way, has an early sub here for Wisconsin in for Davison. And some contact made. What could have been impressive.
I was going to say, could have been very impressive. Great play, great execution, just has to finish it. But he gathers, explodes up, and little stat stuff going on. And here, a drive, make yourself big, catch it, and then explode straight up with a dunk. Fantastic ball movement, fantastic sharing of the basketball by the Wisconsin Badgers there.
Tries for three. They've now attempted 22 threes already here in this game. Remember, they average about 7 3-point makes per game. They're well above that average right now. And another foul, that's number 3 on Reavers. He had 2 in the first half. It's Tyler Wall who's getting set to check in. Reavers with the 3 personals. Sunday on BTN, the volleyball title race heats up. Dana Rettke leads the 5th-ranked Badgers into a showdown with Lexi Sun and number 6 Nebraska. Don't miss Big Ten volleyball powered by Unleaded 88. Sunday at 2:30 Eastern on BTN and the Fox Sports app. Wisconsin picked as the preseason favorites to win the volleyball conference this year, and they've got in front of them to take it.
They're really good.
I could see you being like a middle blocker.
Yeah, see, the problem is you got to jump and you got to be an athlete, and neither one of those were strength. So I would agree with you, except for those 2 things that you have to have.
Humility up there, though, for Brian Butch.
Or just truth.
You had to do something.
I can shoot a little bit. You just put me by the 3-point line and let me stroke it every once in a while.
First team all Big Ten, and they don't hand those out like pieces of candy.
We had a really good team that year. That helps. It reminds me, it really does. It reminds me a lot of this team. Of
does
balance.
It really?
It does. You know, you've got a guy every night that can come out and be the team leading scorer, but defensively they're playing as one unit. The similarities are very, very true with these 2 teams.
Trice to 4. He's left all alone. This is everything. Like that shot back. But a 20-point advantage all the same here for Wisconsin. Well in control of this one.
Off there, myself, Coach Ryan, and then Coach Howard Moore. So a good group there. Loved every minute of it. Still thinking of Coach Moore here and what Joe Krabnoff brings to the bench. Obviously, we all know of the tragic event that happened with Coach Moore. I love him, and I'm thinking of him and everyone involved. A tough week, and it's been a tough couple of months for the Badger family.
I love talking to Greg Gard, where he actually gave a little piece of trivia about you, Ryan Butch, and in the pregame, we caught you just kind of, Nick mixing it up a little bit with your old teammates.
Well, I was talking with Tuck a little bit because we were talking about the Marquette game, and obviously, Tuck, still has that player in him, and there might have been a little bit of conversation as I was watching the game. I said, "That's the Tuck I know." So,
backdoor look and the flush for Tyler Wahl.
As we talk, exactly. That's the Tuck I know, the energy, the effort, and he's going to improve that dunk because I'll tell you, I have not, as long as I played the game, I have not seen a better athlete than Alondo Tucker to play this game.
Got a dunk for a dunk. McNair with the finish. What I was going to say is Greg Gard gave us a nice little piece of Wisconsin history about you and the fact that you were, the first recruit to walk to the office once Bo Ryan was hired as the head coach. Do I have that right?
It is. I'm surprised they invited me, but I was. It started my sophomore year, and I remember Coach said, "Hey, I know you're skilled. I know you can do this, but what I love most about you is you dove on the floor for a loose ball." I said, "Coach, that's what we do at Wisconsin. That's the way we're built."
And now you're on the dark side, and you joined us here in the media world.
Yes. Well, the reason I dove on the floor is because I was too slow, so I figured I might as well make an effort for it.
The 12th three-point make here for Wisconsin tonight. Ford gets it.
This team is so good if they shoot like this, and obviously this is a little bit of an exaggeration of how good they are. As you see the school record of 17, they're shooting lights out tonight. But just the ability to shoot the basketball has been fantastic for this team. And I think it's really going to be the difference maker as far as how far they can go this year.
Can they we'll be tracking that here for the next 13 and a half minutes. Can they approach that school record, as you saw on the graphic, is 17. They're at 12 here right now. That's a 2 for 4.
But a great back screen there, shaped up, his feet were ready, and then raised up. That is great footwork there by Aleem Ford to go straight up with great footwork.
You've talked about Alondo Tucker, and he's made Ford kind of his project here this year.
Well, it's a simple back screen here, and now look at Aleem's feet. He squares up, feet are underneath them, and explode right up for a beautiful jump shot. That is what this offense is all about. It's screening and then getting your feet right to explode up to make shots. Great textbook there.
Here's the response from Green Bay. Trevor Anderson now has checked in here in this second half. And other than starting this second half for Brad Davison, who's been on the stationary bike here for Wisconsin, we haven't really seen him for when you factor out the last couple of minutes, or the first couple of minutes, I should say, to begin this half. This is what Davison's been doing for the rest of the half.
Get him a yellow jersey. Little Lance Armstrong action. It was never good when he ended up on the bike because you knew, okay, you're trying to fight there a little bit.
King was challenged, couldn't put it away. Under 13 here to play. Here's Bell for 2. And a little pressure coming here from the Phoenix. So again, it'll be Trevor Anderson bringing it up. Playing against his old school. Had a scholarship offer basically from his junior year in high school from Link Darner and this coaching staff. They step on the sideline, and it's another turnover here for Wisconsin. Trevor Anderson said it just felt right to make the move to Madison for several reasons. And it was hard. He's got the connection, really the one connection player-wise to Cam Hankerson, but everybody else is kind of a new face and a new player. And it's something really that Green Bay didn't even address. Like, we're not taking on Trevor Anderson. They didn't try to make that a big deal here tonight. And that's 4 now on Reavers, who basically had a cup of coffee after picking up foul number 3, and he'll have to go back to the bench.
I don't even know if it was a full cup of coffee. It might have been an espresso shot.
Did you have those one-liners when you played, too?
Well, I had to have as many one-liners with Coach Ryan as I could, so I tried to keep them in the back pocket because I was usually getting yelled at, so I tried to break the ice a little bit. It didn't work.
I was going to say, is that the way to do it with Bo Ryan? Trying to match him wit for wit. Here's Walt.
That never turned out well.
Walt tossing it away. And it'll be Green Bay basketball. When we come back, we will take a quick timeout. A tough situation, Bo Ryan retiring right in the beginning part of the year and handing the reins over to his assistant and handling it with flying colors.
And it couldn't have happened to a better guy, right? You talk about the basketball and how the amount of success that he's had, but what he's done with this program and how he kind of brought it back together when they were going through some different things with Coach halfway through the year, Coach Ryan, just the amount of success that he's had has been so well deserved by him.
There's a foul there on the floor for Wisconsin. And Walt McCrory has actually made an appearance here for the Badgers. Well, I remember being in the building on that night and actually talking to Athletic Director Barry Alvarez and asking him, what does he need to prove to you? And he said he just needs to prove that this team is going to consistently get better. I already believe that he's got the right fit for Wisconsin. But does he have the right fit as being the head coach for Wisconsin, which are two different things?
Very much so. Very much so. And I think you look at what he's done since, and I think it's a pretty clear answer. You know, it was interesting after the Marquette game, Coach Woj talked at the podium about, you know, how Coach Gard handled the Howard Moore, Coach Moore situation, and just handling it the right way, and if there ever is a right way of handling it. And I think you've got the right man at the helm to you know, drive this ship for this Wisconsin Badger program.
Here's Ford deep inside the lane. They close out on him, and the kick out there to Pritzel. Connects on the baseline.
You know, you also talk about Coach Gard running as a guardian against cancer and all the stuff that he does within the state of Wisconsin. It's not just the basketball that he's done. He's done so many more things to make this such a valuable experience for everyone involved with him as the head coach of the Wisconsin Badgers.
A phenomenal way, in as you said, in terms of trying to bridge the gap with the Howard Moore situation. But that year when he took over, Greg Gard had, don't forget, lost his father to brain cancer at the end of October. And I remember on that game when they took on Green Bay, he kept his father's funeral program inside his coat pocket. I actually asked him today because we were reminiscing about that game, and I asked him, do you still keep that program? He said, every single game I have ever since. A little bit of sloppy play here back and forth between these two teams the last couple of possessions. Here's the takeaway for Green Bay. McLeod leading it, trying to do the Euro step up and over, taking tries to school a little bit. He's got 13.
And the reason you've seen the sloppy play is it's really just been a lack of good execution. And when I'm saying that, it's more of the execution with the cuts and the pace at which this Badger team has been playing.
A 13-2 scoring run here for Green Bay, and it's forced the hand here of Greg Gard to call the timeout. Down to 12 is the lead for Wisconsin. Here come the Phoenix. This was just seconds before the half came to a close. He spent most of the second half on the stationary bike, but Greg Gard forced to check him back into this game.
And it's one of those where, you know, Brad's playing a little ginger. It happens to every basketball player. As long as you played, you sprain it, you try to go back in there, but you do play ginger on it throughout the rest of that second half. And that's kind of what we're seeing right now with Brad.
Give it to him out on the wing. Let's see what we can do with it. Up against P.J. Pipes, a kicked ball. They'll reset the shot clock here to 20 seconds. Brad Davison, no stranger to fighting through injuries. You see his left hand is already taped up, had to be bandaged up from the Eastern Illinois game.
And that's part of the new rule, right? It resets to 20 all the time, you know, instead of 30 like we've seen so far this year.
I like that new rule. Maybe more possessions that you can get in the game. I'm all about the offense, not the defense.
There you go with some offense.
Number 13 for three. 13 of 26 here tonight. Off the glass for two for Davis.
Really good action there by Green Bay. A simple curl cut and lost vision at the very back end of that curl, and it led to a nice little, 10-foot jump shot there by Green Bay.
Davis, one of 3 players in double figures now for Green Bay. He's got 12, only missed a couple of shots. Pritzl got 2 players up in the air for the 2.
I absolutely love it. The pump fake is such an underused tool in this game. I'll tell you, great pump fake there by Pritzl.
As we said at the beginning, coming off his first career double-double, he got a double-double pump fake here.
Pump fake straight up. You have 2 guys fly by. It is a thing of absolute beauty. And with that pump fake, he didn't go all the way and bring it nice and high. It was just a nice, short, quick pump fake and explode up.
Davison has picked up his 2nd personal. Pritzl now in double figures again. Green Bay misses that shot, but they're shooting about 63% in this half. They called the timeout after a 13-2 run where they had only missed 1 shot. And we got our first flopping warning here right as the timeout happens. 72-57. We'll clean it up after we take a break.
See, Green Bay players leaning forward there, and he wants the offensive foul, but the foul first, as far as verticality goes, was the first foul. Would have been an offensive foul had that first foul not occurred. That's why it's a foul on Green Bay.
Flopping motion and the principle, breaking the principle of verticality, awfully similar here this year that everyone's got to be careful of and noticing. Taking it inside, McNair. This Green Bay team not going away.
No, they've done a great job of responding the second half. It's been fantastic.
Demetric Trice bringing it up here for Wisconsin, matching career highs and 7 rebounds, and then a season high with 6 assists here tonight. Stuffing the stat sheet here for Wisconsin this evening. Trice from up top. Gets the screen from Ford. The switch is made, and Trice drawing the contact.
Lisa, you see that so much, right? You get to the end of the shot clock, a one-on-one move, and then you see the defender put that arm in. And anytime you put that arm in, it's a foul. You've got to play with the body. You've got to play with your chest. Let that offensive player come right to the chest. It's not a foul. As soon as you put that hand in, it's a foul.
I think that's the 3rd time I've heard you say that. Not only with post players, but now perimeter players.
Well, we all want to reach. We all want to grab, and it all comes with our hands, but that's when you get the tic-tac fouls.
Trice will pull and fire. Oh, the 3-point shot has been kind for the Badgers. 14 on the night. Chasing down that school record, 3 off of tying it. A Wisconsin team that averages 7 3-point makes in a game. 3rd straight game, though, with double-digit 3-point makes for Wisconsin as a team. Ford gets it blocked. Impressive coming over Josh McNair.
The beautiful thing about that is it's that, dribble between the legs, but when you decide to raise up, the ball went with him quickly. I think that's the most important thing. You can have all the fancy dribbling you want, but when he decided to raise up, the release was super quick on him.
7 different players have made a 3-point shot here tonight. We've talked about Wisconsin spreading it around offensively. They're spreading it around the 3-point arc here tonight as well. 3 for Trice, 3 for Davison. And they feed Pritzl on the block. He wants to keep it. He had 3 players coming at him, stays with it, nearly got the tip.
And then you add a foul on top of that. That's one of the worst things. Everyone, and you hear it from youth basketball all the way to college basketball. It happens all the time. You have a miss and then you get a foul. That's never a good thing.
And that puts Green Bay at the foul line now with the 17 fouls here for the Badgers. They'll be sitting there for the final 5 minutes of this one. Next on BTN, The Big Show delivers highlights, interviews, post-game reaction, and tons of football discussion. The Big Show, fueled by Speedway. After the game on BTN and the Fox Sports app.
The Big Show, it's so good. I'll tell you, I tune into it every night. It cannot miss. It's fantastic.
Tons of info that you can get in the crossover season between basketball and football. Folks here in Madison are excited about again, the possibilities of another West Division title with the loss to Minnesota just recently.
Well, and that's the exciting part. You just look at that slate that has Saturday football. It's full of great games, especially Big Ten. Great move there by Kobe.
Oh, the reverse there for Kobe King. 6 scores in double figures now for the second straight game, and King's got 10. I think Wisconsin will take that if they can get consistently 6 players averaging in double figures. Come on.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And this is how you got to it. A simple post move, another little bit of a shot fake, and then you finish on the other side of the rim. Wisconsin's done a great job this second half of really doing a fantastic job of shot fakes. And then they've passed the ball around to each other. You see they've had 21 assists. They've been so unselfish, but that's really been the MO of this team so far this year.
They come into this game shooting from 3, by the way. 33% is their season average. They're 14 of 28, puts them at 50% for the game.
I go back to what Coach Gard told us at shoot round. It's the butter. You don't want the glob of butter. You want to spread it all on the bread. You want even butter on your bread. You don't want a glob, and that's what we're getting with this Badger team tonight.
It doesn't matter what kind of butter it is either. Like the shortening kind of butter, the vegan butter that they can make now. You got to spread it all out, right? Reavers, his attempt pops out. 16-point advantage. I know you haven't tried any vegan butter.
No, I was going to say, I grew up in Wisconsin. There's no vegan butter in my world. I didn't even know they made that.
I don't think it spreads very well. Might be good for you. It doesn't spread too well. Look at me in Wisconsin bringing up vegan butter. What's wrong with me?
They've kicked it out. It's moved all over that floor, and that's why they're continuing to get good looks.
14 3-point makes here tonight. Can they get to that school record?
Well,
17.
I was going to say, if they keep sharing it, it's in reach. That's for sure.
Nine players have played for Wisconsin, and 7 of the 9 have made at least one 3-point make tonight. And Brian, I know if you were playing, you would say, let me get mine as well, right?
Well, you got to spread it around a little bit. I would have done that nice and early in the first half. I don't know if there was a look I didn't like.
Pressure coming here for Trice. He'll dribble away from a couple of defenders to Reavers, who's playing with the 4 fouls, gets it stripped. Reavers has had kind of a...
I think it's 5th turnover of the night. It's one of those situations where you know they're coming, you know they're going to collapse against you. You just got to be strong with the basketball because they're coming for you.
Well, the 5 turnovers, but I was going to say he's got 14 points, and in just 17 minutes of play, he's been saddled with the foul trouble. So he has been somewhat productive offensively when he's
started
played.
early, right? He got the ball in the post and really was effective down there. And then all of a sudden, foul troubles happen, and it's kind of where you get out of your rhythm a little bit.
Tries to Reavers, number 15. There it is.
That'll help your rhythm. And this is what D'Mitrik Trice is so good at. Coming off a ball screen, having 2 guys come to him. You leave Reavers wide open for a 3. That's beautiful basketball. You have 2 come because of lack of communication. And all of a sudden, when they go, it means that Nate Reavers can slide away from those 2 defenders. Those 2 defenders leave him wide open.
the second three-point make for Reavers. And as I had said, 15 three-point makes here for Wisconsin. I wonder if it just gets contagious with the team.
It does, and it's really been contagious since the McNeese game for them. They've really shot the ball well in the second half. They shot the ball well during the whole Marquette game, and now they've continued to shoot the ball well tonight.
And Reavers actually leading all scorers here with 17 points.
Quiet 17 at that.
Very quiet. And not a whole lot of time to make it 19. 19 points in 18 minutes of play for Nate Reavers. He's calling for it again. There's a contact made. You saw that coming. A little push and too much hand contact from McLeod. It's the 6th team foul here for Green Bay.
You know, there's something here when you look at these Wisconsin jerseys, something that we haven't seen here in 19 years.
What's that?
The names are on the back of them. It's a different thing for these Wisconsin fans. They haven't seen it a whole lot. 19 years, first time that the names have been on the back of these jerseys. And it all started because Under Armour was giving them a new look for the jerseys and said, well, if you want to make any changes, you can. They said, well, sure. Coach talks to the players decide, hey, you know what, it means a lot to my aunts, to my uncles, grandpas, let's go ahead and do it. It was never about them individually. It was always about, hey, this is what it means for my family. So I love the adjustment to it. I absolutely love it.
Oh, step through move. Pretty move there from Bell. Never easy to make a change after several decades, right? What were you complaining about? The length of the shorts in the warm-ups?
Could you imagine my chicken legs trying to fit into those shorts? I mean, we might have turned Badger fans into Gopher fans if they would have had to see me wear those shorts.
Going across state lines.
They might have become a Gopher fan.
Wisconsin goes back to the free throw line as McLeod now has fouled out here for Green Bay. Well, speaking of those shorts, you mentioned the Brian Brooks shorts. How
See, they cover the knees. Look at that's a nice pair of shorts right there.
That's a
they
blanket.
Cover the knees. Look, you don't want to get any higher because if you get higher, there's nothing but chicken legs underneath there. Those are perfect. That's exactly what you want a pair of shorts to look like.
You're wearing a couple of blankets on your legs. That's what that looked like.
Well, I just did a good job of covering up tuck. Like I said, I'm still making payments to SI for getting me on.
I was going to say, how'd they get you on there?
Yeah, it was a very hefty down payment.
The SI jinx.
Well,
Did that? You had
Thanks
an
for
elbow
bringing that
problem
up.
that year, if I remember right.
Yeah, that was hanging low. There's no question about that. But we had a pretty good team that year, just like this team. Again, I talk about the similarities, but you don't know who is going to beat you, and that's what makes this Wisconsin team really, really special. They come in waves.
This Wisconsin team now a perfect 9 for 9 from the free throw line after the latest trip. And how about 42 of the last 47 free throws in the last 3 games? Quick math. That's flirting with about 90% as a team from the free throw line.
Liz, and doesn't that remind you of what makes Wisconsin basketball so good, though? Getting to the free throw line, making free throws. Again, it's a staple. And it had, obviously you had Ethan Happ and Khalil Iverson, guys that were getting to the free throw line last year. And very good efforts there, just weren't great free throw shooters. Now you're getting guys that go into the free throw line that are shooters, and that's why you're seeing those high percentages.
15 three-point makes. McGrory looking to make it 16. Too strong that time. 2 off of tying the school record. And the time is ticking away. 1:06 left in this one. You might not have the big star consistently, game in and game out, but what you might have is a different star every night here for Wisconsin this year.
And I think you will, and that's, again, kind of Wisconsin basketball. We're seeing that a lot with a lot of Big Ten teams, though, throughout the year so far. And I think, having that balance is so crucial in having success in the Big Ten.
And one opportunity opportunity there for Amari Davis.
And he's played great tonight. He really has. He's been very, very aggressive since getting to the basket. You know, for a young freshman to be able to do what he's done, especially with the lack of practice this week, very impressive.
10 of his 16 coming in the first half. Green Bay now in the double bonus. McGrory up against Davis. McGrory into the lane for two. I'll tell you what, he made the most of his playing time, didn't he, against McNeese? Had a career high 9 points in that game.
Career high, but the spark that he brought in that first half, when Wisconsin really wasn't playing well against McNeese, he came in and gave such a spark. And that kind of is what the catalyst was to this Wisconsin team shooting the ball as well as they have, because ever since the second half of McNeese, they've been lights out.
Kobe King was out. Brevin Pritzel kind of twisted his ankle, and he was in foul trouble early in that game. So Greg Gard's kind of looking down his bench, and he said, McGrory, you're in. Shot clock still in play. A 2-second differential between game and shot clock. Here is Pritzel. Rebound and put back in the first bucket for Joe Hedstrom. First career points there for Hedstrom in the final few seconds of this one.
Yeah, and when you look at this game, obviously Wisconsin shot the ball extremely well. But what they did is they were patient. They spread the ball around the perimeter. They got great looks.